All right, good morning, guys. I am just doing research on the Donald Kelly murder case from 1969, and I have received a devastating blow this morning. I called the local courthouse, and I was trying to get information on how I would go about accessing the files for this case. Now, here we are, 2023, and there is nothing online digitally, okay? I tried to access using the case file, his name. I could not do it. And then I realized it's because there's nothing there. This case is so old that they just simply don't have the time to upload the files. Now, I did talk to the woman at the information, and she told me that the only thing accessible in that file would be any motions granted during the trial, basically the outcome of the trial, basic information would be all that is in there that would exist today in 2023. They have a bare minimum requirement, I guess, the case number, the plaintiff's name, yada yada, and the outcome of the trial, and nothing else. Now, she did say that the Crown Attorney's Office, in some cases, would have the information in terms of the actual files, investigative files, like when we watch our TV that we all think, hey, I'm going to go get these case files and solve this case, right? However, being 1969, she thinks that that is also not going to happen, that these files, because the case was solved, right? Donald Kelly went to prison for this. The files would have moved on to archives, and then after so many years would be destroyed. So I don't know what to do with this case because there is nothing left in terms of hard evidence for us to go through. It just simply doesn't exist today, and that to me is a super hard blow to figuring anything out for this case. Because as you guys know, 100%, it did not go down how it was recorded in history. Donald Kelly didn't kill these guys. And we can talk about that a little bit too. There's some more things, troubling things that, I mean, everything about this case is troubling. And I just wonder, you know, the last year and a half of my life that I've spent doing Spirit Box information, which gives us, it is giving us and telling us things about this case, no doubt, guys, that happened and occurred, and information we didn't know about, but nothing can be proven. We can't say that this person was a bad person or did this or didn't do this because we have no physical evidence. We can assume that what they're saying is true and that this person worked for this person and he was undercover, and you know, we find out facts as we're going along that we didn't even know about. So there is something going on here, guys, at another worldly level that I can't explain. What they want from me, I don't know. Why they want me to come forward and investigate this 60 years after the fact when everybody is dead. There are no case files. There's nothing to be corrected. There's no hard evidence. I don't know, but I do feel on a spiritual level that I am connected to Carol, and she wants something from me. It's just very disheartening, like beyond a kick in the stomach, to say, I don't know where to go from here. I'm tired of doing these Spirit Box sessions. We're going to do a few more because there's a couple other characters that I want to get to. Guys, we are 33 videos into this. We're going to clean up a couple series here before we move on, I guess. We're going to finish interviewing Spirit Box-wise the rest of the characters in this story. Anybody that I deem important enough. We have not done James Lavin, who is one of the accused. We have not done Jack McWilliams, who is one of the murdered. And then there's maybe, there's a tie-in here with, you know, mafia and mobsters, and I have a couple ideas of other guys that we could contact, Spirit Box-wise. You know, maybe Donald Kelly's mother would be worth, you know, apparently she was the complete opposite of Donald Kelly. She was a saint. She was beloved by everybody in the community, and here's her son, who was a holy terror. Anyway, I don't know how much more useful stuff we can get out of this. If you watched the last video we did yesterday, which was reverse messages from the dead we did on the Jerry Roy video. The stuff that came through there, again, guys, it said black at least 6 times. It talked about Jack. It said, this is Jack, and then Jack gave us some information. It's all pertinent stuff, even when played in reverse, which blows my mind. So today we're gonna do a spirit box session in this video on Jimmy the Fox, who is James Lavin. He was tried after Donald Kelly was already convicted. Him and Ian Rose were both tried. So we're gonna do a session on James Lavin. I'm just trying to piece together enough information. There isn't a lot on this guy. Who was this guy other than a criminal? You know, we know the criminal things that he did. He was a grifter, a sleight of hand guy. He used to do bill exchange, mess with the kids at the local store to get the wrong amount of change back. He held a guy at gunpoint, which we should talk about that case. If you search, here's the thing. When you do a search for James Lavin, you will find the first thing that comes up is that he was tried with Donald Kelly and Harold Doucette, who is another bad dude from this town, for robbing a guy, okay? And how that all went down is, again, tied to this murder case, in a way. Because Jack and Carol, there's a full shiver down the back of my neck out of nowhere, guys. It's going right down my back. I know it's important, and I've known it was important all along. What I didn't do was piece together a timeline. So I started piecing together a timeline on our original murder case. The party was on Sunday. It ended at 5 in the morning. Carol and Jack were murdered at some point between midnight and 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock that morning. The pathologist, the guy that did the autopsies, actually refuted his own evidence and said, I can't be sure. So they found the bodies on Monday. Again, it's reported all over the place from 8 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Apparently the autopsies were done at 2 o'clock, which would mean, like, it sounded like they were done right there when they pulled them. Not the actual autopsies, but the checking over the bodies, fingernail evidence. They said they bagged their hands and all this other stuff at 2 o'clock. And in the end, after refuting his own evidence, all he could say was that due to the cold water, he couldn't be sure. Rigor mortis had set in, that they had died between 12 and 36 hours previous to that. But we know people saw at least Carol at the party on Sunday night. So I'm trying to piece together a timeline, right? There's so many things wrong with this case. We've talked about it in these 33 videos. Everything from not having any more bullets in the gun when the guys left the party, to shooting a 32 versus a 38. The police only finding bullets for a 32 in the wall, but these guys were murdered with a 38. It didn't matter because Donald Kelly and the other guys didn't have any more bullets for either gun when they left the party. How are they going to get bullets at 6 o'clock in the morning? Throw that on top of a timeline of racing away to go kidnap these two, drag them 15 kilometers out of town, shoot them on a bridge in the middle of nowhere, come back to town without changing their clothes or anything else, continue the party, with or without a case of beer, because again, it's disputed. Did they actually come back with beer, which is why they left? Some people said yes, some people said no. Testimonies were changed. The whole thing is a nightmare. And all I wanted from this was Carol and Jack keep coming through the spirit box, even when I'm trying not to communicate with them. So obviously they're not done with me. And yet I cannot get them to come out and say, this is who shot me. This is why I was shot. This is what I want you to tell the world. And they just don't seem to do it. After they were killed on the Monday, you would think that if Donald Kelly, James Lavin, and Ian Rose, who were the accused, Jerry Roy left the party with them, and he never was charged. It makes no sense. He was going to be charged at some point because the defense states right in their closing arguments that this was a predetermined thing that they had set up. They had rented a car, and they were going to kill these two, and Jerry Roy was in on it, but Jerry Roy was never charged. How did the police get the call to go find these bodies in the middle of nowhere that morning. There's, again, it's talked about over and over in the videos. The spirits keep saying the tip, find the book, find the tip, find the bullet. They keep talking about finding the bullet. And there's another shiver. They've said bullet, find the bullet at least 20 times in these 30 videos. And I went and metal detected the site, guys. I've done everything I can. We went to Carol's graves. Anyway, the last strange thing I want to talk about, it's just another on top of all of these other strange things, is that if these three guys had gone and murdered two people, you would think they would disappear or lay low, at least for a week. God, we just shot somebody in the head from 2 feet away or less. 2 of them on a bridge. I might be psychologically scarred a little bit. Maybe I need a few days to rest. You know? And then they go back to the apartment. They apparently, originally they didn't do anything in the apartment. Then they tore the walls down. So they're cleaning up murder scenes. They're returning a car, cleaning it up. May or may not have happened. And Pat Fregamini is with them. She continues on with her regular routines as well. She's out prostituting the next night. And she picks up a fellow, Norman, I forget his last name. I'll insert it on the screen. She picks him up. They go to a hotel. They have sex, according to Pat, for $25. Then Norman does not pay her. Pat leaves, goes and gets James Lavin and Donald Kelly. Donald Kelly has a gun on him. Where is Donald Kelly getting all of these guns? Because if I just killed 2 people in the bridge, I'm not still going to be using this gun from the party that I was shooting at. Yes, they were shooting in a party, in an apartment building with people around. This is how stupid these guys were. She goes and gets them. They kick the door in and end up getting charged with robbing Norman for the $25. And James stays behind and threatens him bodily after Donald and Patricia and Harold Doucette leave. James stays behind, and whatever exchange happens there, he threatens Norman, you know, this is never going to happen again, etc. So these guys don't even take a day off after killing 2 people in cold blood. And I mean, it takes a cold-blooded person to shoot somebody in the head. Somebody you know and have hung out with for years, that you've done other nefarious things with. They're part of your gang. You love them. You've slept with them. They all fought over Carol. They've all done time together, showed up in court together. It just makes no sense. So that whole November 18th, robbery and holding this guy hostage in the hotel room and taking the $25, again, seems to me that this shows these guys didn't have anything to do with Carol and Jack's murder, because you wouldn't just carry on turning tricks. Oh my God. You know, did they even know at that point in time that Carol and Jack were dead? You know, one day after they're dead, all this is going on. Doesn't seem to make sense to me. Unless they were truly psychopaths. And psychopaths is a rare condition, guys. You don't get a whole group of people that are psychopaths together. And we know Ian Rose wasn't a psychopath. He was a bad dude. He went on and he lived in this community and did bad things for the next 30 years. Donald Kelly was in prison out west. He wasn't a psychopath. He never did any time, you know, in a mental ward. Jerry Roy just disappears, which is why I suspected that Jerry Roy was the one who called in, you know, this information, and then he was under police protection, and then maybe he, you know, was in the witness relocation program or something, because he just completely disappears. I don't know. The other thing I want to talk about just briefly before we get into our session is, why did none of these guys turn on each other? To me, it's almost like they didn't do it. They never said that the other guy did it. Oh, Donald never said Ian did it. Ian never pointed the finger and said Donald did it. Or James did it. Or Jerry, who just stood there looking funny with a smell coming out of his pants before he ran off and called the police on us. Nobody tattled on the others. They never had that infighting. So to me, it's so strange. It's like they never did it. Well, who did do it or could have done it? Detective Black, according to the spirit box, is who did it. Another full shiver. Did he have the means to do this? Absolutely. Do I have any proof that he was a bad guy? No, I don't. But the spirit box is saying Black did it. What happened? Well, apparently Black was sleeping with Carol as well. Got Carol pregnant. Carol maybe said something to Dawn, Detective Black's wife. You know, maybe somebody was blackmailing somebody. We don't want your wife to find out. Carol had to die. Because according to the spirits, Carol was pregnant when she died. That would be motive. You know, and Black was apparently undercover, possibly working for Puglisi and the mob. So really, was he a mobster using his police contacts to cover his own actions? Or was he a police officer working undercover in the mob, trying to bring down the mob? I don't know. I can't say. But the spirits say Black is guilty. Black was there. Black had something to do with the deaths of Jack and Carol that night. Let's get on to our James Lavin session.